Am I like at the rambling point yet? I feel like this is like at the rambling point maybe, but I don't know. I can just kind of check like how nonsensical I am by how much alcohol I've drank, so.
Do you have like a ruler that's got like labels on it?
Yeah, at the top it's semi awkward, and then like the middle I become like a brilliant conversationist, at least in my mind, but
And then the
and then
bottom is like a picture of Gary Busey. I gotta say though, the hair kind of fits. Because, when I met you, it was like you had this almost like classical look to you, but then it was like this sleeper psychopath. Where it was like, no, no, she's like, she belongs in Little House on the Prairie. And then and then it was like, holy shit, she's gonna cut me. And now with like pink hair and parts of your head shaved, it's like, no, she's fucking
I just felt
crazy.
like I didn't want to hide anymore. That I want to give people a warning. I felt before it was a little surprising.
I wish people thought I was a psychopath. Maybe I just need to start behaving more like one.
I think people think you're too cheap. Like even like with like the pictures of like blood spattered on you, they're just like, yeah, but he's a nice guy. I mean, I'm sure you get a reason.
That that actually kind of works for me.
I don't really like people to read my book that know me because then they know that I have feelings.
Yeah. There were a surprising amount of feelings in that book, considering that it started off with like a baby eating its own fingers, and I was like, whoa, this is a twisted, fucked up book. And then all of a sudden it was like, what's with this like endearing romantic relationship? And what? I thought that people were gonna eat their fingers.
They did, and
Right, and someone set them on fire at their graduation, and
yeah, and that was inspired, by my own graduation. It's true. We almost died. Several did. I, the endearing love story just kind of snuck in there. I mean, it happens to the best of us.
it does. I deliberately try to avoid it a lot of the time, and then end up going, yeah, this would work better with a fucking love story.
Sometimes I think I'm gonna say something clever, and then I just kind of like devolve into absolute
I'm,
nonsense.
I'm kind of in a constant state of that. Every time anything is said to me, I'm like, I would be so witty if it was acceptable in a conversation to just stop for 5 minutes and think of what you were going to say. But socially, it would be a strange thing to do.
If I had a time machine, I would just like all those witty comebacks that you think of like 5 minutes afterwards, just like go back and it's like bam.
There's a word for that. There's a French word. It translates to something like the rule of the staircase. I'm pretty sure I read it in a Chuck Palahniuk short story. And the idea is when you speak to someone, you'll have this argument and you'll try to say something really clever and you end up saying the stupidest thing you've ever said. And then you walk away and you're walking down the staircase
Oh,
and you go,
that's the
fuck,
staircase.
I know what I was supposed to say. That would have been beautiful. And they call that the rule of the staircase. They have a word for the clever comeback that you think of, but they don't have a word for the stupid thing that you actually say, which is kind of a more useful word when you really think about it.
Wait, what's it called?
It's like the rule of the staircase or the law of the staircase or something.
No, building regulations. No, I think Palahniuk is just making shit up. I think he's out of obscure dictionaries to read from. Why do you write anyways? Just because like your mom hated you or something? I mean, that just generally seems to be the reason.
Hmm. I don't I don't think my mom hated me. I maybe that's why I'm not a good writer. Uh, I, my mom would probably hate my writing.
I don't know. I think the whole like mom I write horror conversation was like a lot more difficult than the mom I'm a lesbian conversation. So
Did you have a mom I'm a lesbian conversation?
I didn't start the conversation. It was more like, we know that you're dating this girl. It's like, oh yeah, about that. I like girls. And then she was like, that's fine, honey. We support you whatever you do. And then it's like, Mom, I wrote this story about like, dead girls and like probably swimming in vomit. And she's just like, why? Why is my child a writer? God, why? So yeah, that happened. We don't
Huh.
talk anymore.
Do you hate the young writer label as much as I do? When people are like, "Oh, it was good for a young writer."
Yes. I feel like it's sort of like a weird, like, Christopher Paolini, like, Wonder Kid association. Like, people really love, like, kid geniuses. It's strange that people are like, she's only, like, 20-something, I should just go jump out of a window. Like, you probably should jump out a window, but I don't feel like me being young has anything to do with it.
When I first started publishing stuff, I was like, I'm taking my age off of everything that I can, because I just hate that when you see the people who are like, yeah, I liked it. I was surprised at how much I liked it for a young writer, and then you just feel like, well, that's not even a compliment. That just sounds like, I went in expecting this to be just like a giant pile of shit from somebody with no experience at all, who doesn't know how the fuck a story's supposed to be constructed, and instead, it wasn't as bad as it could have been. All of my ideas came to me when I was like between the ages of 18 and 20. And they just sort of like filled up, and they're all like partially written, and now I just sit here finishing them. And nothing new ever comes to me.
Yeah, I heard Tequila does that.
I've got like 12 more books I need to do, and then I'll be like, I'm all out. That's that. Sorry.
12 is pretty good, though.
Do your ideas come from anywhere?
They actually, I actually have like a Ouija board, and I just like set it out, and then every time I'm like, Ouija gods of Japan, because I imagine that they're Japanese, the real gods,
Oh,
I
sure.
ask them for a story idea, and then they just like direct the planchette over, and then like the last word I got was like demon cunt. So I was like, oh, they want me to write erotica.
Are you writing erotica now?
No. Well, it's more like David Lynch erotica.
Nice. That sounds hot.
Yeah, it's my like demon lesbian realistic drug novel that the Japanese Ouija board gods told me to write. And if I write it, then they'll let me go to heaven.
You made a bargain with demons to get into heaven? This does not sound like it's going to pay off for you.
One of the one-star reviews I got said that it was like, they were like, this is the worst, this is like the most stirring book I've ever read. And I read a lot of I read a lot of zombie books, so, that's saying something. And then also that I was probably on drugs when I wrote it.
Which is probably true.
When I wrote it, I knew that people were going to be really upset at the ending, and that was kind of the point. So that doesn't really upset me.
Yeah, I'm kind of like, I don't really want anyone to read my stuff and hate it, but the stuff that I read and enjoy is the stuff that tons of people hate. I'm kind of more bothered by the 3-star reviews than anything else. When it's the people who are like, I wanted to like it. It's not awful, but it just didn't do anything for me. And it's like, I'm so sorry.
I feel like if you're polarizing and like a lot of people really love you and then a lot of people really hate you, you're probably doing something right, as opposed to just somewhere in the middle of like, this is a great story, instead of like, I love you and I will sacrifice my virgin daughters on your altar, and then like the people who say like, I hope that you burn in hell forever, I'm gonna come to your house and stab you. I'm like, great, at least I elicited a reaction out of someone.